Welcome to this Maths Made Easy video on the modulus function. To start with, let's take a look at graphs of modulus functions, quadratics and cubics, etc. And just to clarify here, this is an Edexcel only topic. Now for modulus graphs, where the function is a quadratic or a cubic, etc., the same rules apply as for straight lines, however sketching them will be a little bit more complicated. So for example here, we've got f of x is equal to x squared minus 2x, so we've got a quadratic here. And we want to sketch these three graphs. So y equals the modulus of f of x is the first graph here that we want to sketch. Now to sketch this graph here, remember, when the modulus is around the full function like this, we reflect the negative section underneath the x-axis above the x-axis. And what you want to do here first is just actually sketch x squared minus 2x and then reflect above. And if you do this correctly, what you should obtain here is something that looks like this. Notice here, the part that would normally be underneath is in these dashed lines here. And we reflect that above the x-axis here. Okay, so it maps above like so. Okay, so this orange curve here, that represents y equals the modulus of f of x. And like it says here, we reflect the negative section of the curve in the x-axis. Now, for the next curve here, y equals f of the modulus of x here. So f of the modulus of x. How would we sketch this? Well, what we do here is we reflect the curve in the y-axis for negative x values. And again, what we would do here is just simply sketch the regular curve of f of x, so x squared minus 2x, and then we would just reflect the curve in the y-axis for negative x values. And if you do this correctly, what you should obtain is something that looks like this. Again, notice the regular curve here goes above with these dashed lines. So all we do here now is just reflect the curve in the y-axis here for negative x values, and we can see here we get this extra part. Okay, and like we can see here, we would just reflect the curve in the y-axis for negative x values. And finally, we just want to sketch this graph here of y equals the modulus of f of minus x. And this looks quite complicated, however, it's actually not too bad. Here, what we want to do first is reflect f of x in the x-axis. And then once we've done that, we just simply reflect the negative section of the curve in the x-axis, just like we did here for y equals the modulus of f of x. So here, if you do this correctly, you should get something of this form here, okay? So like we said here, firstly, we reflect f of x in the x-axis, and then we simply reflect the negative section of the curve in the x-axis. So that simply gives us everything we need there for graphs of modulus functions, specifically quadratics and cubics, and that concludes this Maths Made Easy video on the modulus function.